So I wanted to do a video showing the main 4 ways to finish a Toreando pass. The Toreando pass is like one of the most effective passes in jiu-jitsu, but there's so many different variations, setups, and different finish variations that it can be a bit confusing. So the idea of this video is if you understand the main 4 ways that you can finish the pass, you can play with the setups and the different variables, but this is gonna really help you understand the broad idea of what you're doing with it. I'll do another video on setups at some point, but the main idea is that however I get there, I can push the legs, I can pull the legs out, I can like spin the guy. There's a lot of different ways to do it. But once I clear the legs, there's 4 main ways we're gonna try to finish this, and I'm gonna go through those, and it's gonna help you with you developing your Toreando over time. So the first one is after we clear the legs, let's just say I pin his tailbone to the floor, I push the legs to the side. Here, I'm gonna do more of a classic side control style finish. So I either go to knee on belly, or maybe I clear the leg and I come in with my ribs, but I'm going directly to like side. And when you initiate your Toreando pass with that in mind, it has a certain feeling. It's like you're trying to get to the side, right? Whereas the next kind of pass is a direct north-south finish. And this will feel very different. If you go trying to go to side and then you don't get it, and then you try to go to north-south, it won't work. Like he's gonna block and block there, and as you try to go, he follows you, right? But if I initiate my pass thinking I'm gonna go directly to north-south, forgetting whatever grip details there are, right? If I start by going north-south, what happens is I actually stay really far away and I start walking super far away. And in this case, I wanna get directly north-south. I'm a little bit on the side, he can start creating movement and pushing and fighting, right? But when I get all the way here, now when he starts pushing and moving, I keep him dead center and it's very hard to fight. From here I get low and I try to drive the tailbone to the floor. I could even let go and switch grips. But from here, as he moves side to side, I keep him dead center and I can fight him down and go directly to north-south, right? So again, by understanding what you're doing when you go for the pass, it will change how the pass feels as you enter, right? So now the third one here, so we can go directly north-south, we can go directly to the side, is as I'm going around, he turns in a little bit. And then now what I do is I release and I go over the back with my arm. You can go around the other side, right? So I'm here like this, here, I go there, and I go over the back with the arm. Once I go over back with the arm, there's a few different ways this could go. I could turn him back in and come into more of a side finish. It can turn into like a north-south finish depending on what he does. Sometimes I can go all the way around and chase the back. So there's a bit of overlap there in how it finally finishes, but it's one of the big patterns I look for. If I start initiating a Toreando and I feel like it's going to be hard and I feel like he's really over, I can just release the bottom leg and go over the back and try to drive and finish here, right? So that's another big one I look for. The last one, I just call it the 270-degree turn. And what this is basically I go all the way around to the other side. And this one can be useful for multiple reasons. So let's say we'll start here to do it, stay right there, right? So let's say I go here. If I go directly to side, maybe it's hard, but sometimes as I go, he turns in a lot. So I go all the way around to this side here. And now this leg is pinned and I'm all the way in. So sometimes you'll initiate with one pass in mind, and then you have to shift halfway through. And again, I'll do a broader video on setups and all this stuff because there's so many different variables. But understanding that these are the possible ways to finish will help you a lot when you're trying to do it. So I might be here like this, right? And I start to go for the Toreando to do a classic, and he turns in so much that I can tell since he's turned in, it's going to be very hard to turn him over, right? So here I just go all the way through and end up in a nice finish point on the other side. Or maybe I start to go here, he turns in, and I feel like it's too hard. I drop and go over the shoulder like this, right? Could be that I'm here, go around that side. Yeah. Could be that I'm here, keep your knees tight on this one, yeah. Could be that I'm here, and then I start to go for a north-south style Toreando here, and what happens is let's say I go straight for the side, he frames my shoulder, and sometimes he blocks, right? And then he has that elbow on the floor for support. What happens is if I go for the north-south one sometimes, as I'm so far away when he blocks, he can't stop me. So then he starts using the other arm to block too. And now that makes it so I can turn his hips back and come back to the side, right? So you can chain these finish variations together. You can start one, drop to another one. It depends on the situation. But if you understand that really, no matter what setup you're using, no matter what combination you're using, the finish variation is always going to come to one of those 4. Then you can play with different setups. You know, I can be here Again, I'll do a future video on this, but I can be here and maybe I have an ankle grip because maybe his pants are really short, right? And it's hard to drive. So in this case, maybe it's easier to do one where I run around this way, right? Or maybe he has like a good pant and the spider hook's really sticky and I can pull this off and dive for the shoulder, right? You'll start learning to chain, right? So doing Toreando passes, it's a little bit more like striking or boxing because it's not as position oriented. It's not like you're in closed guard, you grab here, you do this. It's more like these are patterns you can do, and there's a lot of footwork and movement and interpretation. So again, I just wanted this video to function as kind of a foundation for understanding how you can finish the position. And then as I do future videos on grip variations and setups, you can use that to build a broader technique around it.